Howdy, 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 my name's Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we read through, The Equestrian Soul, A Bundle of Stories, Deathly Videotape, Many Fingers, Many Toes, which was uncomfortable, and Sharpeners, which was about the factory. In this episode, we're going to do an inscribable, it might be inscribable actually, inscribable object, a model system, a voracious coin, the price of obsession, and he feels your pain. I'm teetering on the edge of continuing into Dr. Wondertainment Pretendo, because I really want to see what that's about, and I don't really want to wait another day for it. But I'll stick to the 5. I'll stick to the 5. So, inscribable object. What? Object class scarf? The heck is object class scarf? SCP-586 is assigned a storage container in Salty 4. Key may be obtained from the main office with presentation from Dr. Blank. No further secretary is deemed necessary for the object. SCP-586 is a smelt metallic object, pale green in color. The anomalous profession of the object was discovered by accident. In any sentence written about the object, at least one typist will be created. This is probably supposed to be type O. Specifically, one or more words will be replaced by an incorrect word. Okay. Lab Report 586A. In this test, the portion of this sentence data plunged. Report B. A test to determine if 586 has an effective rage has turned up the following results. A disposable dude was seated 1 meter from the object and gasped to write the control phrase, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." A second disposable dude, located in data expunged, was presented with a photograph of the object and asked to describe it in a sentence. Result 1. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Result 2. It looks like a piece of garden horse. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, so result 1 was said the right way. Okay, so, Lab Report C. 10 disposable dudes were asked to transcribe the short phrase, "It is." All were successful. The same personnel were then shown the object and asked to describe it using the phrase they had earlier transcribed. Result, it is, if is, Illinois, I hiss, titties, ibis, iris, Italy, data expanded. Lab Report D. Native speakers of Swahili, Japanese, Gelatin, and Arabic were asked to describe the device in their native language. Each description contained at least one word in the respective language that was not what the person had intended to write. Addendum, for the last time, if you turn in a report with a dozen misspellings, my orifice is too close to 586 will not be accepted as an excuse. There is no bleed effect, as evidenced by LR586B. Unless you are writing about the object itself, you will not be effete. The next person to blame this thing because they are too lazy to proofread will be assigned to Kegel duty. Dr. Blake. That's probably supposed to be Keter duty, but, you know. Alright then. Next up is a model system, which is safe, as opposed to scarf. An isolation room in Sector 28 houses 587. Entry is barred without authorization from... Wait, hold on. File Imagine of SCP-586. It is a green picture of the Pope. So that says to me that maybe the effect also happens to pictures and they just never came back to that. Anyway, an isolation room in Sector 28 houses 587. Entry is barred without authorization from the project lead and the interior is kept sterile. Climate controls must be maintained to simulate seasonally suitable weather, including precipitation when appropriate. Surveillance by digital recording devices is continuous. Inside the isolation room, great care must be taken not to physically disturb 587 in any way unless as a part of an experiment. Level 1 isolation equipment is required. All interactions with the model and its residents must be cleared with researchers overseeing the mass psychology project. Description: 587 is an HO scale 1/187th model railroad diorama with dimensions 21 point, wow, I said that wrong, 21.3 by 36.5 meters. The handcrafted scenery depicts forested hills interspersed with buildings, a railroad, and other models which constitute the fictional township of Red Elk, Colorado. Each model is fully functional. Plumbing and electrical power work, cars run on gasoline, etc. The town is populated by 1,270 living individuals identical to human beings other than their 19.5mm height average. Physical laws in the vicinity of 587 seem to be altered sufficiently that anticipated ramifications of squared/cubed relationships are not observed. The artifact is meticulously detailed, from superficial features like license plate numbers and legible, with magnification, newspapers, to material compositions such as the geology of the landscape and organ arrangement and vivisected inhabitants. The residents can be observed behaving as though in a normal town, and seem to have no idea about the unusual nature of their existence. Note, after blank years of Foundation custody and experimentation, some residents are becoming suspicious that something's not right. Dr. Blank. A resident of 587 remains oblivious to foreign objects unless they make contact with the diorama's surface. Items that do contact the surface are perceivable by inhabitants and often excite interest or confusion. Thus, a camera placed centimeters from the town center has gone unnoticed for years, while the momentary presence of an insect within view of inhabitants could be a major disruption, and has been on several occasions. Other disturbances caused by negligent attention to containment protocols include numerous earthquakes caused by jostling or impacting the model, climate swings and unexplained eclipses resulting from malfunctioning climate control equipment, a burning flood when an assistant spilled hot coffee down Main Street, and strange rains of rope and white flakes, hair and dandruff. Researchers must now don level 1 isolation wear in the containment area. Careful observation confirms that 587's population is aware of these mysterious phenomena, and that a number of beliefs and rationalizations have arisen to explain them. Addendum 1. Following repeated incidents exposing 587's populace to strange occurrences, the project's research priorities have been shifted from investigation of the artifact's properties to psychological experimentation with its inhabitants. Future incidents will be carefully designed and introduced to study mass reactions to unexplained and threatening events. Response to mysterious appearances and disappearances, denied. Response to persistent unexplainable predation, access denied. Mass psychology and religious cataclysms, access denied. XK events, access denied. So is that access denied from them wanting to do those tests, or access denied to finding out how they went? I don't know. Next up is a voracious coin, which again is it sounds like it's a coin that eats people. But it's safe. So I guess it might be a coin that eats people, but if you're not touching it, it can't eat you. So, the original copy of 588 is maintained in a minimum security storage locker at Site 19. SCP-588 is contained in a clear plastic box and is fitted with metal restraints. Researchers coming into contact with 588 are required to wear padded protective gloves. If 588 is removed from containment, absolute attention is to be maintained to ensure that it does not escape. See Incident Report B. Any additional copies of it produced during testing are to be subjected to temperatures in excess of 1100 degrees Celsius for a minimum of 5 minutes in a Site 19 disposal furnace. Description: SCP-588 is an American 25-cent piece minted in 1972. Analysis of the chemical composition has confirmed it is a standard 91.67% by 8.33% alloy of copper and nickel. The depiction of American President George Washington on the obverse side of the coin displays activity consistent with being alive. Despite being bound to the plane of the coin face, the head of Washington has a full 180-degree range of horizontal movement and a vertical range of approximately 90 degrees. In addition to the movement of the head, it is capable of opening and closing Washington's mouth, and will attempt to feed ravenously upon any organic material brought within its proximity. No other parts of the face on the obverse side have been witnessed displaying movement, including the eyes. 588 has demonstrated the ability to consume up to 1 gram of organic material in a single feeding. Researchers have snapped several specimens of 588, revealing a minuscule air pocket in the area of Washington's neck which appears to serve as a pseudo-stomach. Analysis of the composition of 588 has revealed no organic structural components. However, trace amounts of digestive enzymes have been isolated from the pseudo-stomach, including blank, blank, and blank. Between 30 minutes and 1 hour following feeding, specimens of 588 will secrete a clear and sticky substance from the base of the reverse side. Laboratory analysis has confirmed that it is the digested remains of any organic material the specimen has fed upon. Copies of 588 have the capacity of limited flexion of the coin up to 2 meters. millimeters. In this manner, specimens of 588 are able to move rapidly across flat surfaces using rhythmic contractions in the manner of a slug. When approaching a food source, specimens alter their movement pattern to short, upright hops on the base edge of the coin. All activity appears to be motivated by the desire to feed and reproduce. 588 does not require organic material to survive. All consumption appears to be for the purpose of reproduction. After 3 to 4 feeding, specimens of 588 will begin to thicken. Over the course of several hours, a specimen will increase its thickness by 1.75 millimeters, after which a copy of the specimen will split from the reverse side through binary fission. Remarkably, offspring will display the year they were born at the base of the obverse side, although they are identical to 588 in all other aspects. Regardless of the year of their creation, offspring of 588 are uniformly of the style of quarters from prior to the state quarter program of 1999. 588 has displayed rudimentary cognitive ability. Copies will often lay face up on surfaces with the obverse side in the standard half-profile position, mimicking standard quarters. If a human being touches a specimen, it will attempt to bite their finger and flee rapidly. Multiple copies of 588 tend to gather in large groups that will coordinate feeding attacks if allowed, see Incident B. And here it is! On blank 2002, junior researcher Dr. Somebody reported to senior staff that while transporting 588 from its containment locker to a testing room, it slipped out of the box and scuttled away. The unfortunate containment breach of SCP Blank at approximately the same time and the resulting death of Dr. Blank led to the incident not being logged. 5 months later, on blank 2002, janitorial staff member blank came into contact with a colony of over 400 individual copies of 588 living off detritus behind the shelves in storage pantry B10. Blank was discovered unconscious by his co-workers 2 hours later and was treated for several thousand minute bites on his limbs and body. All escaped instances of 588 are believed to have been retrieved and destroyed, but any Site-19 staff members finding loose change in unlikely places are to report to an on-site security officer immediately. Well, dang. Well, I was right about the voracious coin. Good thing I know what the word voracious means. Next is the price of obsession. Well, I was reading it sinisterly to be silly, but it's actually Keter! So I guess the price of obsession has to be read seriously anyway. SCP-589 must be contained within a sealed, reinforced container that is welded shut. Under no circumstances is SCP-589 to be removed from its container, physically contacted, or even seen. It and its container must sit on a scale so that it may be continually weighed to confirm its presence. 589's containment cell may only be accessed by Level 4 personnel and must be guarded by at least 2 Level 4 security personnel with 24-hour surveillance. Under no circumstances is 589 allowed to leave its containment cell. Any personnel attempting unauthorized entry or removal of 589 will be terminated. Should containment be breached, then the entire sector 589 is held and must be immediately purged via demolition charges or incendiary devices. Any personnel assigned to the sector that managed to escape must be questioned and then immediately detained for psychological screening. In the event that SCP-589 must be handled without the protection of the container, the only personnel authorized to handle it must be cleared by Foundation psychologists and must have a psionic resistance index of 30 or higher. Once their task is complete, all personnel that have handled 589 must submit to a mandatory psychological screening. SCP-589 is a stuffed animal that is able to change its appearance based on the subjective desires of the first person to come into contact with it. It has the ability to create a calming, soothing sensation within anybody who sees or comes into physical contact with it. This ability appears to be mimetic, as it is able to spread via copies of itself as well as pictures depicting its likeness. However, the effectiveness of these copies is directly proportional to the quality of the product. The calming effect that 589 imparts is not unlike the use of narcotics, as it stimulates the areas of the brain that are responsible for feelings of relief and euphoria, and encourages the production of chemicals and hormones that reduce stress. However, this effect quickly becomes addictive, with infected individuals becoming completely dependent on 589 after extended exposure. Once addicted, an individual's interaction with 589 or any of its copies borders on complete obsession, and they are compelled to create more copies of 589 and attempt to spread them. However, what makes 589 dangerous are its after effects. After a certain period of time, SCP-589 will immediately vanish. SCP-589, any of its physical copies, and all versions of it in printed and electronic media will completely disappear. This sudden and massive disappearance of 589 results in catastrophic consequences for those infected by it. without 589 to keep them passive and calm, infected individuals will immediately suffer a variety of severe withdrawal symptoms, including but not limited to manic depression, psychosis, heightened aggression, uncontrollable despair, dementia, mania, paranoia, and various other behavioral disorders. It is not known how or why 589 does this, though there is speculation that it feeds off of the mental anguish it causes to those completely obsessed with it. Once the process is complete, it will reappear in another random location and repeat the cycle. SCP-589 was tracked down and contained after the Foundation received a string of mysterious reports of villages and towns in rural areas being found with their entire populations dead, apparently having slaughtered each other in a massive and violent riot. The Foundation began tracking these incidents, but could not determine their cause until Dr. Blank discovered a pattern in the targeted areas. Using the data he had provided, or they had provided, the Foundation managed to intercept and contain 589, though several personnel had to undergo rigorous psychological treatment to counter the effects of it. Currently, 589 has not attempted to leave its containment area, which has led researchers to hypothesize that it follows a very specific life cycle pattern. Infection pattern. After various experiments on test groups consisting of disposable dudes, SCP-589 appears to be solely targeted at individuals with severe insecurities or those suffering from high amounts of stress. Infection rates on subjects whose psychological profile suggested they were susceptible to high amounts of stress or low self-esteem showed a 90% infection rate, while subjects with little to no stress and high self-esteem suffered only from a 12% infection rate. This confirms the doctor's initial hypothesis that 589 targets areas with high numbers of people that are easy for it to infect. Sentience hypothesis. It is a real possibility that SCP-589 may in fact be a sentient creature rather than an inanimate object. Study of 589's movement patterns correlated with data about its infection patterns suggests that 589 deliberately controls where it appears at the beginning of every cycle. However, we need more data and experiments in order to confirm this. Administrative note. Due to the catastrophic loss of containment during Experiment 589-5, resulting in Incident 589-40, 589 is to be permanently kept in its secure container. Any request to move it requires O5 level clearance. Alright then. So, I don't know if those horns were picked up, but it's election day where I'm at, and the horns were being honked. So that brings us to He Feels Your Pain, which is safe. And I already don't like where this is going. So, SCP-590 is assigned to a regular SCP living space at Sector 7. There's to be one guard on duty at all times within said space to ensure 590 does not harm himself. He is to be supplied with one television, which is to be used only in the broadcasting of children's shows. At no time is he allowed to leave Sector 7 for any reason. He's only to be fed the vitamin-laced protein gruel created for 590. Anyone caught attempting to feed 590 anything else will be demoted. He is not to be handled without proper authorization. Note, SCP-590 is not to be named as anything other than 590. He is a tool to be used, not someone's friend, sibling, or child. Anyone found forming attachments to an SCP will be removed to a less people-intensive duty. Description: SCP-590 appears to be a young male, approximately 16 years of age. The only benefit he receives from his powers is apparent longevity, as he has not aged since his arrival at the Foundation. Although in all aspects a normal teenager, when 590 touches any other human, he heals all injuries and ailments, physical and mental, they may have. As an odd side effect, 590 receives the injuries upon himself, being subjected to all the pain and the aftermath. To elucidate, when healing a physical wound, 590 not only feels the pain of receiving the wound, but gains scars relevant to where the wound was on the subject. When healing a cancer patient, the tumors materialize at varying places on his body, usually along his arms or legs. Any mental healing performed is transferred directly, resulting in 590 gaining whatever mental aberration he was healing. Those wounds he receives from using his powers accumulate. SCP-590 is not capable of healing mental disorders caused by psionic induction, including those caused by certain mind-altering SCPs. In Blank, 590 was bedridden and unable to leave his room due to accumulated injuries. In Blank, 590 was put on life support, unable to breathe even on his own. Shortly after, he was given one dose of SCP-500, which brought him back to full health. At the instigation of Dr. Bright, 590 was immediately induced to heal several cases of mental retardation. Due to this action, SCP-590 is permanently at the mental level of a 3-year-old child and is extremely tractable. SCP-590 is currently reserved for use on researchers and above. Any request for testing should go through Dr. Blank. Seriously, Dr. Bright, fuck you! Whoever the hell you are, fuck you! You have been nothing but terrible! ever, ever, you have been nothing but terrible. But I'm gonna save this story for an SCP Saturday, because it'll be the first time we've actually gotten to see why Dr. Bright seems to be so completely fucking terrible. Anyway, that about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you would need to do either one of those things. So, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later!